Just in case you guys wanted an official Greg A weather report, it is about to get nasty. Another storm rolling in. Seems like all it does is rain around here. So another big storm coming in. But I have got a huge surprise sitting right over there for you guys. I've been hiding something. It's time to get into it. The rain has died down and we are finally ready to show you guys the truck that I have been hiding pretty much. We've posted on Instagram, so if you follow along, you may have seen it, but I really think that we kind of skipped over showing YouTube and kind of like explaining the entire story and the truck for about 6 months. So before we get into that, there is quite a bit of story because the truck is kind of already messed up and broken, and we'll get into that. So there's kind of two parts. So 6 months ago, flew Dawson out to Utah to get this truck. I have been hunting this pretty much exact spec truck ever since our OG tow pig, the 08, left years ago. I call this truck the unicorn. When I show you guys the truck, if anything is like 1 point off, it's a no-go. It wasn't really a need, it was just a if this truck came about. I think it has a pretty big issue, we'll find out. That's kind of the reason why we're diving in right now, because we're about ready to kind of take some things apart and figure some stuff out. We've been driving it here or there for the 6 months, not a whole lot, because it just kind of has developed into needing a bunch of stuff, and we'll get into all that. So I guess that's it. The unicorn truck that you guys have not seen yet, here it is. 2014, so my spec was 13 to 18. That's my preferred years. Closer to 18, the better. This is a 2014. Non-negotiable is 3,500, so no coil rear end. Wanted leaf springs. Obviously had to be black. Had to have a sunroof. Had to be a G56, had to be pretty decently low miles, had to be a factory Laramie, long bed, and had to kind of have as many factory options as possible. So this truck, being a 14, does have the bed liner, does have the factory gooseneck prep. Add all those up and you kind of come up with a combination that is kind of a unicorn. So, and again, factory Laramie, wasn't any of those. I don't want anything but a Laramie. Now, this truck does have some stuff done to it. Again, it came from Utah, and let's get into everything that's been done. So it actually has full Thurin suspension on it, even though it is fairly old. This has 342 gears in it, and driving 373s with a 6-speed and 342s, some people hate it, some people love it. If you're gonna tow and like work the truck, you might wanna lean towards 373s. This thing with 342s and the G56 is an absolute highway monster. Like, it just pulls in the top gears insanely hard. So it's kind of a change. It's a little bit different. So I thought it was cool. On the interior, let's just stop that. Our last video had that too. So the owner of the truck, the last owner, typical, he swapped in the same brown interior that we just put in the single cab, but these are actually 5th gen seats. All plug and play, everything works because it was a factory Laramie truck. It's actually really nice because it kind of ties into the wood grain on the Laramie. So it's very tasteful. And normally I would say if it's not like OEM to the T, I'm not a fan, but it actually works really, really, really well. Everything works as it should. So 5th gen tan seats already in this beast. Again, factory Laramie. We need to go under the hood. That's where some of the magic is happening. I don't know what that is, but that does something. We're gonna need to start the truck for you guys to take a listen, because it's either gonna be something simple or we're gonna be taking quite a bit of the engine stuff apart. Now, why we are diving into this truck actually has a hardware performance, add a turbo kit, and a Steed Speed with a Cheetah 63 mil charger on the bottom. We're gonna be changing it up. This is actually pretty much almost identical to the setup that used to be on the dually. Had a guy hit me up, he's like, hey, would you separate the Steed Speed and the Cheetah? I said, you know, man, I would, but the Steed Speed and the Cheetah are getting sold, and hence the reason why it needs to kind of come apart. But this noise has developed. And the noise is not, it's not good. So let's start the truck and have you guys listen, and you tell me what you think it is. And let's see, it's been sitting in here, so usually when it's cold, it's pretty loud. When it warms up, it goes away a little bit. This truck has, I believe it's just about 80 on it now. Show yourself. 85. Hopefully the camera picks up the audio. I forgot to mention everything else underneath here. I mean, it's got a Banks intake horn. It's got this breather tube off the factory valve cover. I think that's pretty much it. Stock fuel. It does have like a hesitation or miss when you're getting in the throttle. So there are a couple things. One big thing that we're gonna take care of, and I'll let you guys kind of in on. The biggest thing that I really don't love about the either 13 or 14s, I think maybe some 15s, is this dual radiator with the Ys here. This one actually still has the plastic Ys, which is actually pretty shocking because typically in cold and warm climates, these things crack, explode, and leave you stranded. So just not a huge fan of that, but we have a fix, we have a solution to kind of get that changed back. Not that loud right now. All right, we'll give it a few seconds to see if it comes, but it's nowhere near as loud as it is at some times. You can actually hear it more from back here. I hope the audio of this camera can pick that up, but up close I didn't hear it. As soon as I came back over here to kind of like let it do its thing, like, you can hear a very noticeable valve train noise. I want to call it ticking, tapping. If you guys are familiar with some of these engines, valve seats are a thing. In certain years, it's a little bit more prevalent than others, but I don't know when the last time the valve lash has been done on this. So it could be noisy because of valve lash. It could be a valve seat thing. We'll know a little bit more maybe when we tear into it. Truck is in its temporary home. We don't have an exact game plan, but we do know that we have a couple big objectives that we are going to try to accomplish. First of which is removing the turbo kit. We are going to go ahead and remove kind of like the front grille, all that stuff, because we do want to kind of tackle the dual radiator part of this as well. Other big objective is just kind of like go over this thing top to bottom. Obviously, we've got a valve train noise, whether that's a valve lash adjustment. We're going to start there and kind of see what we got going on. We're going to take the valve cover off, kind of basically touch everything, give everything a once over. It's kind of funny. The first thing I almost did check, I was like, man, I see it's got an intake horn, but man, it still has the factory grid plate. You know, you can kind of like see that bolt that goes down there. Those things do fail. And you can kind of like wiggle this wire. Luckily, it doesn't look like anything like that has happened, but we are definitely going to go that far. Again, I never know how far it's going to go, and usually it does snowball pretty far, but it's not for no reason, let's put it that way. So we definitely got to do something about that grid plate and kind of fix all this. This battery does not have a hold down. It does need a power steering box. And that was something new that kind of developed as we started driving it around. Plans are already to kind of like redo the entire suspension and steering all in one shot. All right, so trying to give you guys as much information as possible. If you pull a 4th gen grill off more than once, you will know that these clips right here, they always break. So before you do that and you don't have clips to fix it, they end up breaking like right here. And what you end up with is maybe 2, 3 if you're lucky. Let's see. Yep, see this one's like clean straight off. That one's got 1/2 of it. So do yourself a favor. If you have a 4th gen, I don't even care if you plan on taking your grill off ever, just get these clips. They're cheap. Don't go to the dealer because they're insanely expensive. I think you can get these, I believe it's Amazon. I also stock, and again, we do a little bit more than most, but also these on 4th gens, the tail light clips sometimes break. So I always keep, and again, this company makes the grill clips and the taillight clips. Much cheaper, easier solution, just keep those around. Regardless if we are gonna mess with the radiator, draining coolant. You take that off, you can squeeze your paw down in there, and seeing that this overcomplicated cooling system has this hose in the way, it's actually easier just to see down in there. If you guys can see that, it is that little nub right there. So we're gonna drain the coolant. I pull the inner fender liners out to do just about anything. So we're actually gonna pop this tire off, pull the inner fender liner out, put a jack stand underneath that axle, and you will be able to just not hate your life crawling all the way down in there. You can get to just, you know, a ton of stuff right in there. Now that I see that, that reservoir is gonna be a little bit in the way, but nonetheless, I always take the liner out, pull the tire off, just a little bit easier for yourself. Sounds like a bad wheel bearing to me. I can't tell if that's the wheel bearing or the ball joints. Some of both, but who knows? Probably original ball joints. You know, it's just one of those things where, you know, might as well just sign it up for everything. Inner fender liner is out. Quick look at the lower plastic Y on the passenger side. These intercooler boots are super thin, so when I saw these boots, and take a look at that, it doesn't even have the second, it's missing it's only got one of the steel rings when I think there were supposed to be 3 there. No way that this wasn't a massive boost leak. I didn't feel it driving it, but man, that is really torn right there. So again, drivability issues, you know, it could have been this too. This was a huge issue on my dually with this compound setup, and it really had nothing to do with the truck or the compound setup. When I took the truck apart, hypothetically speaking, if I were to, because it was bone stock, this sensor on your intake lid is the exact same shape, size, color. They are different part numbers because they are different sensors, but what usually ends up happening, what happened to me is, you're like, man, I'm gonna remember what sensor was what, and they go on the same table, roughly in the same area. Somebody bumps it, whatever, and I ended up mixing up my sensors, and we ended up running into a whole lot of issues just chasing stuff down, because if you screw those up, you will definitely have a drivability issue. So tech tip among all others is just put these in a bag separate and make sure you keep them separate, because you might think it might not matter, but trust me, it definitely matters. Das Boot. Little update for you guys. We're just getting ready to remove this battery box tray coolant tank combo right there. We'll get that out. Then we can start taking the turbos off. These do have dates on them. They're right here. They were hiding. 7 of 18. Now, why am I mentioning batteries? 4th gens, ask me how I know. You may not ever have a starting issue, cranking issue, charging issue with batteries, but these things do get finicky. They have a check engine light, and I don't know what the code is, but it's honestly for them finding faults in like old batteries, and they will set a light even though you may not have any issues. So I'm not gonna put these back in just because of the age, and who knows, I don't know if they're sensing like a dead short or something in one of the batteries, but we'll get those replaced while we're here. And that is what that boot looked like under that clamp. We got our main Hey, Cole's here, by the way. Yeah. So me and Cole are gonna finish knocking out the rest of the turbo kit. It's kind of funny. I did not realize that that was a billet wheel turbo, which is nice, but a little billet spoolie boy. And yeah, we got a cheated down below, and our man should be picking up the Steed Speed and the cheated today. Standpipe here goes down to the block right there. That is the main connection, and that's what really kind of like needs to connect all the way back up here. But if you look here, your standpipe also feeds coolant to your factory turbo. So you can't really do the cleanup with that standpipe as well if you are still running a turbo that has coolant on it. So that coolant line is important, but if you are, you know, putting an evil fab second gen swap on, which, you know, would make your life that much better, you can get rid of that coolant line completely. Just run a line that kind of like comes up here. You do need to kind of tee it into your coolant tank, but you'll have one line that comes out. It'll swoop right around to that same port in the block, tie in your coolant tank, and that's pretty much the only three connections: firewall, block, coolant tank. Whenever you are.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh, he's throwing stuff.
Alright, so we'll take this one off.
I didn't realize there was two pieces.
Yeah, it's a little two-piece.
I'll be honest, I think you might be the first one. I've never even been underneath the truck.
I mean, it's really not bad. And then, where you want her at? Right there? Oh,
money.
yes, sir. Oop, oop.
Oop, oop.
A little heat shield action.
Go fishing.
Yeah, he's fishing.
This single 8mm bolt that holds that standpipe into the side of that housing, I have PTSD because it only happened once, but just be careful because that head could break off and then you have to fish that out. And it wasn't as bad as I anticipated, but I will forever be very gentle with that single little bolt because it was just a pain in the butt.
Not gonna lie, so far, very unimpressed with these manifolds.
The locking ones?
Yeah.
I mean, do they come off easy? There she is.
There she is. Yes,
There we go.
sir.
Yes, sir. All right, so seeing that this is a compound turbo setup, obviously, if you guys have never seen, the additional block drain is right there underneath your oil filter. Went ahead and removed that. Found something that is worth noting here. If you guys didn't know, O-rings in general are a serviceable item that do flatten out and they do wear out. So this really wasn't leaking or have a problem. But again, when you take things apart, don't just take them apart and set them off to the side. Take them apart and like inspect them, because if you were just to like put these back in, you probably would have a problem. So they're pretty flat. They've been in there for a minute, and this one's got a good chunk missing out of it. But like I said, it really wasn't leaking. It's more or less just reminding you that it doesn't matter if you buy the best of the best things. If they're on there for a long enough time, things will need to get checked. A lot of people fight this drain in the block side, and I will admit, like, there's not enough room to wiggle it hard enough. So I just take the 8mm, I think they're 10s, right?
10s.
10s. This heat shield right here is usually in the way. I just pry that a little bit out of the way, and then you can get it with a swivel, and you can just take the two bolts out of the bottom of the turbo and just leave that in the block for right now.
Readjust, and she's coming. Got her. Yep.
You know, spray some stuff in there. I'm gonna show you how easy this comes out. And now that you actually have room to work it around in there,
Start giving her a little twist. And this is how you don't end up with a piece of drain inside your oil pan.
Hey. Pop goes the weasel.
That's how you do it. This thing's just too hard. Like, it's not, it's flexible, but it's not. And there's not enough room to give her the old grab and twist.
Alrighty guys, turbos are officially off and completely gone. The guy ended up taking the entire setup, so happy with that. But that is pretty much gonna wrap up part 1 on the Unicorn G56 build. Dream spec of mine. Truck is not going anywhere. You guys will see a ton of videos of the truck going back to stock, because we are gonna put this thing back to stock. That is all we do here. That is gonna go completely back to stock. Everything compliant, and yeah, there are gonna be a lot of videos on the truck, but stay tuned. Appreciate you guys. Didn't get a chance to dive into our main issue underneath the valve cover. That is going to come very soon, along with everything else that we found in this video. Not worried about everything that we found. It's all just things and stuff, and we'll improve on it, show you guys the way, try to give you guys all the tips and tricks in this video, and just kind of help you guys as much as possible with everything that we uncovered and found. So that is gonna wrap it up. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next video very, very soon. I'm pumped for this beast. I am so excited for this truck. We'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.